Thomas the Tank Engine Story Collection. The classics. Which one would you like for me to read tonight, Alex?
Henry the Green Engine.
Henry the Green Engine, page 184. All right, this book weighs 1,000,000 pounds. There it is, Henry the Green Engine. We have, 5 chapters in this section. We have Cole, the Flying Kipper, Gordon's Whistle, Percy and the Trousers, Henry's Sneeze. That sounds funny, huh? Henry's Sneeze. Let's see, are you going to be awake for all of these?
Yes.
I don't think so. All right, before every new section, the author writes a letter to his friends. And this letter says, "Dear friends, here is more news from the region. All the engines now have numbers as well as names. You will see them in the pictures. They are as follows. Thomas, what number is he?
Number 1.
Edward,
2.
Henry,
3.
Gordon,
4.
James,
5.
Percy."
6.
Awesome. I expect you are sorry for Henry, who is often ill and unable to work. He gave Sir Topham Hatt a lot of worry. Now Henry has a new shape and is ready for anything. These stories tell you all about it. The author. Cole. I suffered dreadfully and no one cares. Rubbish, Henry, snorted James. You don't work hard enough. Henry was bigger than James, but smaller than Gordon. Sometimes he could pull trains. Sometimes he had no strength at all. That doesn't sound good. Sir Topham Hatt spoke to him too. You are too expensive, Henry. You have had lots of new parts and new paint too, but they've done you no good. If we can't make you better, we must get another engine instead of you. This made Henry, his driver, and his fireman very sad. Sir Topham Hatt was waiting when Henry came to the platform. He had taken off his hat and coat and put on overalls. He climbed to the footplate and Henry started. Henry is a bad steamer, said the fireman. I build up his fire, but it doesn't give enough heat. Henry tried very hard, but it was no good. He didn't have enough steam, and they stopped outside Edward Station. Oh, dear, thought Henry sadly. I shall have to go away. Edward took charge of the train. Henry stayed behind. What do you think is wrong, fireman? Asked Sir Topham Hatt. The fireman mopped his face. Excuse me, sir, he answered, but the coal is wrong. We've had a poor lot lately, and today it's worse. The other engines can manage. They have big fireboxes. Henry's is small and can't make the heat. With Welsh coal, he'd be a different engine. It's expensive, said Sir Topham Hatt thoughtfully. But Henry must have a fair chance. James shall go and fetch some. When the Welsh coal came, Henry's driver and fireman were excited. Now we'll show them, Henry, old fellow. They carefully oiled all his joints and polished his brass till it shined like gold. His fire had already been lit, so the fireman made it carefully. He put large lumps of coal like a wall around the outside. Then he covered the glowing middle part with smaller lumps. You're spoiling my fire, complained Henry. Wait and see, said the fireman. We'll have a roaring fire just when we want it. He was right. When Henry reached the platform, the water was boiling nicely, and he had to let off steam to show how happy he was. He made such a noise that Sir Topham Hatt came out to see him. How are you, Henry? Pip, peep, peep, whistled Henry. I feel fine. Have you a good fire, driver? Never better, sir, and plenty of steam. No record breaking, warned Sir Topham Hatt, smiling. Don't push him too hard. Henry won't need pushing, sir. I'll have to hold him back. Henry had a lovely day. He had never felt so well in his life. He wanted to go fast, but his driver wouldn't let him. Steady, old fellow, he would say. There's plenty of time. They arrived early at the junction. Where have you been, lazy bones? Asked Henry when Thomas puffed in. I can't wait for dawdling tank engines like you. Goodbye. Whoosh, said Thomas to Annie and Clarabelle as Henry disappeared. Have you ever seen anything like it? Both Annie and Clarabelle agreed that they never had. The Flying Kipper. Lots of ships use the harbor at the big station by the sea. The passenger ships have spotless paint and shining brass. Other ships, though, smaller and dirtier, are important too. They take coal, machinery, and other things abroad and bring back meat, timber, and things we need. Fishing boats also come there. Oh, my goodness. They unload their fish on the wharf. Some of it is sent to shops in town, and some goes in a special train to other places far away. The railwaymen call this train the Flying Kipper. One winter evening, Henry's driver said, We'll be out early tomorrow. We've got to take the Flying Kipper. Don't tell Gordon, he whispered, but I think if we pull the Kipper nicely, Sir Topham Hatt will let us pull the express. Hurrah! Cried Henry, excited. That will be lovely. He was ready at 5 o'clock. There was snow and frost. Men hustled and shouted, loading the cars with crates of fish. The last door banged. The guard showed his green lamp, and they were off. Come on, come on. Don't be silly. Don't be silly, puffed Henry to the cars as his wheels slipped on icy rails. The cars shuddered and groaned. Trot, trick, trot, trick. All right, they answered grudgingly. That is better, puffed Henry more happily as the train began to gather speed. Thick clouds of smoke and steam poured from his funnel into the cold air, and when his firemen put on more coal, the fire's light shined brightly on the snow round. Hurry, 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 panted Henry. They whooshed under bridges and clattered through stations, green signal lights showing as they passed. They were going well. The light grew better, and a yellow signal appeared ahead. Distant signal up, thought Henry. Caution! His driver, shutting off steam, prepared to stop, but the home signal was down. All clear, Henry. Away we go. They couldn't know the switches from the main line to a siding were frozen and that the signal had been set to danger. A fall of snow had forced it down. A freight train waited in the siding to let the Flying Kipper pass. The driver and firemen were drinking cocoa in the brake car. The guard pulled out his watch. The Kipper is due, he said. Who cares, said the fireman. This is good cocoa. The driver got up. Come on, fireman, back to our engine. Hey, the fireman grumbled. I haven't finished my cocoa yet. A sudden crash. The brake car broke. The three men shot in the air like jack-in-the-boxes and landed in the snow outside. Look. Henry's driver and the fireman jumped clear before the crash. The fireman fell headfirst into a heap of snow. He kicked so hard that the driver couldn't pull him out. Henry sprawled on his side. He looked surprised. The freight train's fireman waved his empty mug. You clumsy great engine, the best cup of cocoa I've ever had, and you bump into me and spill it all. Never mind your cocoa, fireman, laughed his driver. Run and telephone the breakdown gang. The gang soon cleared the line, but they had hard work lifting Henry to the rails. Sir Topham Hatt came to see him. "The signal was down, sir," said Henry nervously. "Cheer up, Henry. It wasn't your fault. Ice and snow caused the accident. I'm sending you to Crewe, a fine place for sick engines. They'll give you a new shape and a larger firebox. Then you'll feel like a different engine and won't need special coal anymore." "Won't that be nice?" "Yes, sir," said Henry doubtfully. Henry liked being at Crewe, but was glad to come home. A crowd of people waited to see him arrive in his new shape. He looked so splendid and strong that they gave him 3 cheers. "Peep, peep, 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 peep. Thank you very much," he whistled happily. "I am sorry to say that a lot of little boys are often late for school because they wait to see Henry go by. They often see him pulling the express, and he does it so well that Gordon is jealous. But that is another story."